Well, Dan and Kelly, the attorneys will argue that Officer Brian Naismith was not in imminent danger when he fatally shot Jonathan King. The video picks up after Jonathan King caused a hit-and-run traffic accident in which no one was injured.
I'm going down Highway 80 trying to keep up with this guy that hit another car and then took off.
King is driving the car, which comes to a stop at this dead-end pasture. Kaylin Crane and Brandy Bell are passengers in King's car.
They knew he was a Gladewater resident. They knew his address. They could have gone to his house and waited for him.
Bell and Crane exit the vehicle, but King decides to drive away. It is at this point that Officer Naismith claims King tried to run him over.
Instead, Jonathan King's vehicle is driving away from the officer, and the officer is chasing after him with its weapon.
Not to escape injury, but it appears to get a better shot at Jonathan.
Shots fired, shots fired.
Reports say Naismith used his personal AR-15 assault rifle to shoot Jonathan King. Ballistic reports show the shot that killed King did not come from the front.
As is demonstrated by the records that have now been released, Jonathan was in fact shot from the rear.
The attorneys agree King should not have left the scene of the accident back in Gladewater, but they say he didn't deserve to die.
The officer had no right as a result to shoot Jonathan, an unarmed man, from behind.
Now, if the City of Gladewater Insurance Company does not comply with the wrongful death claim, the attorneys say they will file a wrongful death suit against the city in federal court.
This story is far from over. All right, thank you very much, Tyler.
They're no longer calling it a police-involved shooting. They're calling it murder.
Shots fired, shots fired.
We need to get the truth, and we need to get to the bottom of this.
And I am very upset about it. And I believe all of the peoples here is upset about it, or they wouldn't be here.
The King family lawyers say the investigation into the shooting of Jonathan King by Gladewater police officer Brian Naismith reeks of a cover-up. They say the audio on Officer Naismith's dash cam before the incident involving King is crystal clear. Listen closely. You can hear Officer Naismith talking to dispatch before the tape cuts to the chase. 19 went to Upshur County District Attorney Mike Fetter looking for answers. 4 minutes and several probing questions into an off-camera interview we were asked to. As the second reporter came out of Fetter's office, we tried to interview the DA. He declined comment and then shut the door. Operator error or technical error?
Have a fine day, Mr. Wayne.
Is that your final answer?
The guy running away from him, you see what I'm saying? Well, you can't shoot nobody in the front, man.
Even if city leaders don't have answers, these residents say opening up the lines of communication is vital.
Gladewater police can get away with it, though. And you are the mayor of our city. Why can't you answer us?
So the focus shifted to the latest allegations against Officer Naismith. The Dallas Morning News claims Naismith pulled a shotgun on one of its reporters.
But he's still out there. Maybe if it's not, he's still working.
Go ahead, he's on vacation.
The fatal shot came from behind King and his fleeing car.
See all the stuff from the front.
Look at the blood, all the blood.
Yeah, he's shot from behind.
There's not a bit of blood anywhere in the back seat.
Next, we'll look into statements by witnesses who they say their reports were altered.
I did not write it. I did not read it.
I mean, I know he's supposed to do his job, but he didn't check neither. I mean, we didn't have no weapons. He didn't ask if there's any weapons in the car, nothing. He was just shooting at him.
The investigator then asked Crane for his impression of what unfolded.
That officer did not have to do what he did. He did not.
It took a separate open records request by King family attorneys to obtain this evidence.
It captures the bullet holes going into the car, going into Jonathan's vehicle as he was driving away from Naismith.
En masse, we demand the immediate and permanent disassociation of Officer Brian Naismith from our law enforcement agency.
Members of Gladewater's Concerned Citizens Committee made their feelings known. An autopsy released in November stated that King had died from a gunshot wound to the chest. In fact, the autopsy report shows King was shot twice, once in the pinky finger and once in the head.
Jonathan King wasn't killed by a bullet to the chest. Jonathan King was killed by a bullet that blew his head off, and that bullet came from behind.
The Gilmer Mirror has since printed a retraction concerning the autopsy report. He wants the CCC's input on hiring a new police chief.
We want the new police chief to be involved with meeting the blacks and discussing what their problems are.
Chief Blakemore was hired after the shooting. Officer Naismith has since been fired. Blakemore says he wants to keep the past in the past and focus on making a positive difference in Gladewater. He says this weekend's Halloween carnival is a step in that direction.
Not just this weekend, Tyler, but every day we're out here to make a difference.
The grandmother of Jonathan King's 2 children says she never expected to see the day when justice was finally served.
We're satisfied with the settlement, even though money was never the issue in this. Our main objective was for Naismith to be off the Gladewater Police Force.
Family of Jonathan King say the $225,000 settlement will help send his 2 children to college.
Their dad would want them to be able to go to college and make something of themselves.
They say they're happy for the positive changes Gladewater has experienced since the fatal shooting 1.5 years ago.
We've seen a great change happen in the last 4 or 5 months with our new police chief. I think that's the best thing that's happened to Gladewater in 20 years.
We're very happy with the new police chief, with the police officers. You see a lot more of them on the streets.
I feel like we have justice now because my kids will be able to be taken care of. Money won't replace their father.
The family says the man who gunned down King, former Gladewater police officer Brian Naismith, was a no-show in court.
They can't find him. They can't serve papers and make him come to court or anything, so he disappeared off the face of the earth, which that's probably best for Gladewater anyway.
And each of King's 2 children won't be able to access their money until they're 18 years old. In Longview, I'm Tyler Wing, CBS 19 Eyewitness News.